All right. Hello and welcome, SLE people. Tonight, we are recording the top 20 players of all time in SLE as our 2023 Christmas special for the community and for the people. As per usual, with you today, Savage and Linus, my co host today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm really excited. I think we haven't done anything like this before. I can't remember. So I think it's a really, really cool idea by you.
No, we have not. I think I released the top 10 teams of SLE last season, like after season 4. But this time I thought that after this significant season 5, I think it's a good time for us to look back at all the 5 splits, all the 5 seasons, and yeah, in the Christmas festive spirit, let's look into it. So basically, me and Linus, we both have created our own top 20 lists with different criteria, what both of us found the most important. And yeah, I will start with my criteria. So I basically evaluated all of the recognizable names in SLE, all the players that I thought that could have a chance to get in this top 20 list in 5 categories. For me, the 5 categories were team awards, individual awards, longevity, eye test, and recognition. And I basically scored all these players in these categories and then evaluated the totals. And after that, listed the players from 1 to 20 and some players that missed out of the list. So, what was your criteria, Lance?
I've also done it with like 5 categories basically. The first one is basically I compared the player to other players on the same role. So every top laner, every jungler, every mid laner and stuff. And I've given 1 to 20 points, depending on how strong I think the person is compared to the other people. The second criteria is the SLE win rate. I just looked at the sets table, just looked how high is the win rate, and I think 80% was like if you had an 80% win rate, then you got 20 points from 20 possible, and then it went down like 3% win rate was like 1 point less or something like that. The third category was basically awards and trophies. Like there were different things that I evaluated, for example, SLE title, of course, but also all-star team recognition, MVP recognition, stuff like that, that all added up to a total of 20 points again. The fourth category was basically also recognition, like how recognized is this person in the community? Because for me, of course, I can just look at solo queue elo to check who are the 20 highest solo queue players, but that would be kind of stupid in the SLE con sense. So I looked like, okay, how recognizable is this person in the SLE? How many people in the SLE are like, yeah, I know this person. I've seen this person play or whatever. And the fifth category is basically my own one. It's the only category that only gives 10 points and not 20 like the other 4 are, where I basically give up to 10 special points depending on how high I want to rank this list. And yeah, in the end, you could earn up to 90 points, and the same as you did. The higher points you got, the higher you are on the list.
Yeah, you had Linus factor as the last.
Yeah, basically.
I like that a lot. So before we start off with the 20th place, let's go over some of the players in both of our lists that that just missed the cut. And for me, the 7 names that almost made it, that were very close to it, were Sushi Killer, Elrat, Ori, Caliber, Jessia, Obsidian, X-Dice, and Ichi. These players were actually very close to making the top 20, but didn't quite cut it. How about you, Linus? Are any of my honorable mentions in your top 20?
I have Ichi and Elrat in the top 20. Both of them. There are some players that I don't have in my top 20 that I think should deserve a shout out. 2 of them are from Snackpack, which are Evo and Sushi Killer. Then I have Butner, the ADC of Veki Wrestler split. I think he's pretty good, but like he only played 1 split. And the final person is Thijs. I've never seen him play. Like I have to add for my list, I've joined the SLE in Split 3. I have not seen any game before Split 3. I only see the statistics, and I heard what people said about other players. So my list might be a bit more Split 3 to 5 centralized. But yeah, Thijs is someone that I know is really good, and he played a good role in the SLE so far. But he's not on my list.
Yeah, absolutely. Thijs an absolute beast. But yeah, I just played one split. I think he won Division 1 regular season and all SLE mid laner that season, and went on to be like a grandmaster player, but just not enough success in SLE. But if we talk about success in SLE, my 20th place is you, Linus. Linus is 20th at my list. I think you were Division 2 MVP. You are also Division 2 champion, SLE finalist one time in that beautiful miracle run in season 3, and all around I'd say very respectable player, strong laner. I definitely think you deserve to be in this list. Who's at your 20?
On my 20th spot is someone who only played Split 5. It's a mid laner called Like It More, the mid laner of Revelings. At first I didn't have him on my list, but I remembered that there was like this one series, I think it was against Wacky Dress. And I just looked through some clips I had where he was like completely smurfing on everyone. And that basically gave him a few more of my points that scooped him into the 20th position. I'm really excited to see if Revelings are coming back for next split, because I think some of their players can make like a huge name in the SLE in a long time. So yeah, he's on my 20th spot.
Yeah, I really like it more. Beast. I will always remember that series they had against Interstellar Aquila, where he kind of, with his Yasuo, I think he outplayed Zoza Kali. Those were some of the most fun matchups there. But yeah, I actually have to correct myself with my 19th place, because I made some little bit of corrections and I forgot to swap it around. But yeah, for me, 19 is actually Sushi Killer, the star mid laner for Snackpack. I previously mentioned that he's my honorable mention, but no, he did make my list. And this guy's crazy, especially on champions like Ari, one of the best mid laners and kind of solo laners in SLE history, I believe. And he just lacks the success in playoffs, but whenever we see this guy in regular season, he just pops off. Such a massive carry for that Snackpack squad. And imagine if they close down that game at the last game of the season when he scored a pentakill on the Kassadin. Man, this guy is crazy.
Yeah, I
Who's
agree.
at your 19th, Lance? Yeah, go ahead. You have any comments?
I mean, I just want to shout out Sushi Killer. I know that guy for like 3 years. I've played against Snackpack. I think I played like 40 or 50 games against Snackpack. And he's always something you need to factor in, either with bans or with like your strategy, because he's just so good at creating benefits for his team and room for his team. But yeah, my 19th player is someone who has joined the SLE in Split 4, went to the finals, and this team he joined Vitagen mid-split and went to 4th spot with that team, and it's Jasea on support. I think he's a really good player. He has some games where he's struggling a bit, but I think he has a really good meta read, like when, for example, in Split 4, he was one of the only supports playing Enchanter, but he was having such great success with it. And yeah, I think he deserves a spot.
Yeah, absolutely. He just missed it for me. He was very close to the top 20, but missed it out. And yeah, it's been after like joining, since he joined the SLE, I think he's been the top one of the top 3 supports at every single moment, at every patch. So the reliability of this player must be acknowledged. And yeah, he's also good on not only engaged champions but also on supports, on enchanters. I mean.
Yeah.
And who is at your 18th, Lance?
On 18th is someone who actually played in a team with Jesse at one point. And it's Jonathan Isaac. I think he had a really, really good playoff split this time around. And if it was only for like Split 4 and the regular season of Split 5, he wouldn't have made my list. But I think like he has proven that he can be really, really crucial for teams in high stakes moments, and that's why he made my 18th spot in the position in the whole rating.
Yeah, Jordan Isa is not on my list at all. I do respect him a lot as a player, but I just think he hasn't won enough. He has been like up there with the contenders, but not like on the like premier, like the top. And I think he's only awarded is the playoffs, all playoffs player, all playoffs jungler in this split. But definitely someone to look up to. But for me, 18th comes Kreller. This guy had one of the best individual like single seasons that we have seen. As a rookie, the things he did, win MVP, win all SLE carry, won regular season as with the team, and if there wasn't for that early elimination in playoffs, I believe he would be much higher, and maybe some of his teammates would also appear in this list. But do you think I'm underrating Kreller, Lance?
Yeah, I think so. I have him a bit higher on my list. We will get to him later. But I think Kreller is a really good pick, and he definitely deserves to be here. His regular season was just really, really good.
Yeah.
So yeah. Do you want to continue with your number 17?
Yeah, 17 for me is someone who had two completely different seasons in SLE, and that is Zench. In season 4, he played in the struggling Barsbjörn. I think he played 1 or 2 series and did not look that excellent. But this season in Gucci, he absolutely turned it around. Won the all SLE top laner honors and the championship, of course, as well. So this guy's an absolute beast in top lane. I think his biggest weakness is that he sometimes underrates his opponents and maybe sometimes dies because of it. But other than that, Zench has been absolute terror in top lane.
I agree. I actually also have Zench on my list, but I will start with my number 17 first. I actually have myself on number 17. I think I'm being kind of dragged upwards by just me being part of the SLE admin team. Like a lot of comes with that. Like people know you. And I also think lots of people kind of underestimate the Black Manta roster in Split 3 and 4. Many just saw basically what Black Manta did this split, which was like 8 wins by forfeits, something like that. But yeah, I have myself on number 17. I at first had myself 1 spot higher, but the player that's 1 spot higher I think deserves to be higher than me on the list, and that's Zench. Because he was like 1 point below me, but then I increased his Linus points score by 2. Because I actually think that Zench is a really, really good player. As you mentioned, sometimes he seems to underestimate players and just loses matchups that he should win. But whenever he's like really focused, you can just see how good that guy is. And I want to see, I think he can't join next split, sadly. But I want to see more of this guy, maybe in other tournaments, because it's so exciting to watch him.
Absolutely, and for me, one position higher than Zench is, I'd say, his main rival in this past season, Ant, the player that sometimes on live we call the beast of SLE, and Ant definitely also as a rookie had one of the best rookies seasons in SLE history. He made waves with that Vitagen squad, winning the championship actually, and all SLE top laner honors. Missed out on the MVP, but this guy is a beast. He has the champion Ocean. He sometimes maybe can be pulled into playing these gimmicky picks that are not as good in my opinion, but that being said, I still think he's a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, definitely. I have Ant actually a bit higher on my list. I think a big part why I'm seeing players that I have listed a bit higher than you have, that they are higher on my list. The main reason I think is that, as I said at the beginning, like I mostly have seen Split 3, 4, and 5, while you have also seen Split 2 and 1, I think, or at least Split 2. But yeah, I think Ant is a great pick. But he's not my number 15. I think it was 15, right? Oh no, it was 16 for you.
It was 16th, yes.
Okay, then maybe you can continue with your number 15 first.
Number 15 for me
Yeah.
is a player that that has I think he won't be in your list, but for me, this guy absolutely popped off in playoffs, especially, and I just love to watch him play. It's the Gucci's AD carry Sheffer, and he's so fun to watch. And whenever I watch him, my eyes kind of like pop off because like the plays he makes, the like fast mechanics that he has. I just love to watch this guy play, and I'm so happy that he's a player that has taken the throne of the Gucci's AD carry from me. And just love this guy. Master Yi main playing AD carry. That's crazy.
That's actually really funny because on my number 15 is also Sheffer.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think he's really good. Of course, there are always the memes with like Bittner and stuff, and he's a Seraphine player, and I don't know, but I think Sheffer has shown that he can be really, really good. And I think he might have been the player. If you look at the whole split, he might have been the most important player on the Guccian roster from my perspective. And that even though he only played one split so far, I still think he deserves a spot in like the lower top 20.
Yeah, absolutely. And the fact that he picked up the Seraphine in the deciding moments in the game, I'd say kind of speaks for his versatility and the fact that he won't only play like Twitch and Lucian, he also will play the teamfight mage for his team. And I love this guy. But in number 14 for me is the original Seraphine player in SLE, Yomi, a player that has been a top player in SLE in two different positions, in top lane and in AD carry, all SLE selection for AD carry as well. In Season 4, SLE champion. So, yeah, this guy is, I'd say, often underrated. Sometimes maybe people underrate him because of his champion pool, but he will do anything to get his team the victory.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think I'm really happy that you have Jomi on your list. My number 14 is someone when I joined the league, the person was playing top lane, and I just loved laning against that person's Ornn because it's also Jomi, who's on my number 14, which is kind of funny. I just loved playing against Jomi. I love Jomi as a person as well. Like he's such a great guy, and it's always fun to chat with him. And like also in Twitch chats, he's on. I think he donated like 20 subs in like the Split 5 finals. Which is just really cool.
Money, man.
Yeah, and I think he totally deserves to be on this list. Won the SLE, got the all-star team of Div 1 and also of the playoffs in Split 4, and yeah, just a really good player overall. If you want to have a good weak sider.
Absolutely, yeah, and. The thing, I think he also can be a very good strong side player, but playing in those Vitagen squads, I think that whenever there's a team with Dutch, I think they always play like kind of a top side, strong side, but Yomi has done everything his team has asked him to do. And another player with a kind of a long legacy in SLE is in my 13th place, and it is another one of our mods, Fly Today. One of few players that has played in every single split of SLE, like 5 splits, and I think that's pretty crazy. He hasn't won SLE, or he hasn't also won the regular season, so he kind of lacks in those areas. But Flight Today is always in top squads, top 3 squads. I think he has top 3 finish in almost in every single season, and I think this definitely deserves as a proven winner. Maybe not the champion, but he definitely deserves to be in this list.
For me, Fly actually made out, he didn't make the list. There was a small gap that he had between him and the 20th spot. I think the thing that broke his neck for me was that, yes, he has been on, he played every single split. Yes, the teams he played on were all somewhat successful, but he never won a title. Like he never
Yeah.
won a title. As far as I could recall, maybe I did a mistake, but he also never got like an MVP or something like that. Like he was always
Nope.
a bit behind the top. Like he was always good, solid,
Yeah.
but for me that basically broke it, that he never made the top anywhere. But he's a great player, and he definitely deserves to be on the list if you want to have him there. My number 13 is actually also someone from Gucci. Even though I don't think he should be recognized mainly for Gucci, because he played 3 splits on runtime first, then he made his own team, Kakapo Adax, last split, got 3rd, and then he won it with Gucci in JL, who, like, he was mainly the substitute for Obsidian, and then he came in as the starter for the last weeks because I think Obsidian had some time struggles or something like that. And yeah, my number 13 is JL. I think JL is a really, really good player. Sometimes he maybe is a bit too, how do I say it, too greedy or too not respecting his opponent enough. At least that was my perspective when I saw him play. But yeah, a really good player.
For me, I actually have JL much higher.
I'm not surprised.
Than 13, so, but yeah, we will see. We will see that later on. You can continue with number 12 for you.
Yeah, surely.
Because number 12 for me is maybe surprising.
Okay, my number 12. I want to say first, there are a few admins in the SLE history. I know that Xenix was an admin at one point, I think, in Split 1. You, me, and then there's this third one since I joined, and that's Rango. And Rango is my number 12. At first, I didn't have him on my list, but then I kind of went back and I was like, wait, didn't he play on Red Team 1 in Split 1 as well? And I went back and I looked at his stats, and his stats are actually really crazy. And I was like, wait, I can't put him on like, not, I can't exclude him from the list just because he died in the SLE finals to Red Buff, right? Like, Red Buff is pretty sad. And my number 12 is Rango.
Yeah, I also have Rango on my list, a bit higher, but not like super much higher. But for me, on 12 is also a jungler. I will be very surprised if you will have this guy's name in your 12, knowing that there's only 11 more selections. But for me, number 12 is Alefeld, the star jungler for Primordials, and I think this guy is so underrated. Yes, he did play for Primordials, a team that never came even close to like winning Division 1 regular season or the playoffs or anything like that. But he did set the season high in kills in Division 1 when he played there. He also was that absolute star power in that Primordial squad. He's a Division 2 MVP, Division 2 champion as well. And I have played with this guy also in in-houses. I've seen how he plays, like the eye test just checks out. And I think if we would put this guy into any like of the top squads, they would be champions. I really have a lot of respect to Alefeld and his amazing carry jungle play. That's why I put him this highly.
Yeah,
what do you think, Linus?
I think I agree with you on Alefeld. I don't have him on my list. You're right with that. He was like one of those like 5 or 6 players who were like a bit below the list. I actually want to just correct you on one bit. I don't think that it makes Alefeld the worst player, but Alefeld didn't win the MVP in Division 2. It was Asball when they played. But I think it was really, really close.
I think, yeah. Actually,
but he won Division 2, and like I think he was second behind Asball. But I think Alefeld is a really, really great player. I love seeing him play. I really hope that Primordials comes back and maybe have him on jungle again, because on support it was kind of... Yeah, it was okay. But there's a reason that Primordials that Primordials got 20th. But I think it's awesome that you have him on there. Can I continue with my number 10?
Number 11.
Oh no, you can go with your number 11 first.
Wait. Did you say what was your number 12? Number 12.
Rango was my number 12.
Yeah, right. So okay, now let's continue with number 11. Right?
Yeah.
All right. Number 11 for me is Shiki Oren. Um, I would say he is one of, like, let me check. Yeah, I'd say he's the second best player in SLE to never win the title. I think there's only one guy who's better than him to never win the title, and Shiki Oren, every single time he plays, he's an absolute threat. No matter what is his team, he can perform and he can carry his team. We saw him kind of single-handedly eliminate Vitagen actually from the winners bracket in season 4 playoffs. He has always been up there with the best AD carries, and yeah, maybe I'm kind of overrating this guy because I have a lot of experience playing with him and against him. But I think he's kind of a player that if he pops off, he can be the best player for that game in SLE.
Yeah, I totally agree on Shiki there. Great guy. I don't have him on my list. I think we're slowly getting to the point where we always have those plays on our list, because like top 10 is a bit more like, how do you say it? It's a bit more clear than like top 20. I don't have Shiki on my list though, even though I think he deserves to be on it. My number 11 is a different person. It's a guy. You're familiar with that person. He has won the SLE in Split 2 on jungle and in Split 3 on support. It's Brox. I think he's really good. I've actually talked in preparation for this video to a person who has laned against Brox, and some of the things that were said basically made him a bit lower on the list than I initially had, but I still think 11th spot is really great, and that guy is a big part of the SL history.
Yeah, I'm very curious to hear after we end this show, what was the things that were said, because I agree. Although Brox is a hell of a player, and he has his imperfections and stuff like that, but he's an incredible talent. But what do you have at 10th, Lanish?
On number 10, I have Krella, who you had on number 18.
Oh.
I just think Krella was so good this split in regular season. Like the games that he played, he was just like popping off. He was sometimes just carrying his team. Like I felt like he was just sprinting at the opponent and just dragging his team with him to win the game. And I think he's so good, and there's a reason that he got MVP, Rookie of the Split, ADC of the Split. Like and that's why I have him on my number 10. Maybe a bit of recency bias, could be. But yeah.
No, I agree. This guy Kreller is a beast. How good he can play is absolutely crazy. But for me, at number 10 is the last player on the list who is not an SLE champion. So, yeah, Sanix. Sanix is the best player that has never won SLE. I'd say. Based on like the legacy, based on all my criteria. So I would say if there was the season 1 MVP award, I think Sanix would have won it from jungle, not from AD carry where he plays right now. But right now, when he plays every single team he plays on, I think he's the main carry, and he's an absolute pop-off player as well, similarly to Shiki Orin. But I would say just a bit more reliable, and maybe if he would be paired in put in a team where there's more balance around him, I think he would have been an SLE champion. But his teams are always quite. They're doing a lot of happy gaming often, and I'd say Sanix kind of fits that team style in quite well, and that's why he's not higher than top 10 for me. But hell of a player is Sanix.
Yeah, I mean, I agree on Sanix. I think he's really good. I don't have him on my list, actually. I think maybe the reason is that I have not seen Split 1 and 2. I think in Split 3 he didn't play. He took like a split break. Correct me if I'm wrong. but I can't recall him being on any roster. And then he basically came back, and what I saw from him, yes, he is really good, his mechanics are good, but it was also this, like, sometimes he just loves to fight everything. And that sometimes makes the team lose games. Both on CCG Muffins and also... He was on CCG Muffins, right? CCG Muffins and Blazing Panda. And that's why I don't have him on my list. But I'm really glad that you have him on there. Yeah.
Yeah. For me, at 9th place is one of your rivals. One of the best, like, laning-wise, especially, like, late-game laning-wise, top laners in SLE history, and that is Captain. And I was talking to some good G people before, while I was making my list, while I was evaluating. And they were saying that it's absolute slander of me putting Captain and this low, because how good he was and how much pressure he took and things like that. But the things that took Captain and like a little bit lower for me was the fact he played only 2 splits, and in that championship, when dominant team of season 3, yes, he did take a lot of ganks, and he did kind of swallow a lot of pressure from the opposing junglers and stuff like that. But I would say, yeah, he wasn't the deciding factor there, and he didn't win a lot of those awards there. But absolutely scary. If we would only rate people of their best season, if like their highest potential, I would say Captain would be top 3 or top 2 player in SLE history. But for me, if we take all of the categories, he's 9th for me. How about your 9th place?
My 9th place is I think the last player. Yeah, it's the last player of the current champions. It's Wiggy's. Mainly because I also know him from Split 3. I played against him in Split 3, and I think he can be so good. Like, I think that CCG Theta Draconis roster that got 2nd in regular season did so also because of him. And I think Wiggy's is a really good player. He's kind of like, he has those games where he's just like the manager, basically, dragging his team to the victory. And yeah, that's why I have him on my number 9 spot, basically, as the first player in the top 10.
Yeah, I also have Vegeta on my list, just a bit higher. I guess right now, I would think that it's safe to say that from 1 to 9, we will both have matching, like, kind of players that we both have in our lists. But yeah, you can continue with your 8.
On my 8th spot, I have someone that you have a lot lower on your list. He's on your list, but he's not in the top 10, and that's Ant. I think, yes, what you said before, like, he has those cheesy picks sometimes where you just like, where you're wondering what the fuck's going on, and then he just ins, and you're like, what the fuck did he pick? Why did he do that? Why did he int this game so hard?
Yeah.
But I think that he's also, like, his insight in the game is really good. Maybe I'm a bit biased because I played in Split with him and I listened a lot to what he has to say about the game. But I think, like, his Split 4 performance, like, a lot of games he basically won for Vitagen back then. And maybe he was even the best player on the roster in that split, if you look at the whole split.
Yeah.
And yeah, for me, he's actually the 2nd highest top laner on my list. And I think he's really good. And that's why he's on my number 8.
Yeah, I'm curious to see who's going to be your best top laner. Probably Captain and maybe Konhatsi. I don't know. Konhatsi isn't on my list, by the way, so that's another honorable mention. But for me, on 8, a player that you had a bit lower, but not that much lower, and it is Rengo. He did win the regular season with Red Team 1. In Season 1, he also finished 2nd in regular season. On Season 2, again finished 1st in the regular season with Gucci and won the championship in Season 3. This guy, like, almost everything he did in SLE was winning while being an admin as well. He also is one of a rare jungle players to kind of take the all SLE jungle selection away from a player we will definitely talk about later, which is Dutch. And yeah, Rengo was a beast. He always formed winning squads around him, and yeah, I also love this guy. He's a great player to play with, and Yeah, that's number 8 for me.
Yeah, I just want to add something regarding Konhatsi.
Yeah.
I don't have him on my list as well. I think if you would have looked at Konhatsi before the upper bracket final and the lower bracket final, before he faced Kapteinen and then me, before that I think I would have put him on my list. But first he didn't look good against Kapteinen. I think Kapteinen completely outclassed him and was the main reason that Gucci won the upper bracket final back then, or like he had a really big impact. And then he came into the lower bracket final, and I was like, okay, no way we're gonna beat Reef. And I just remember the game where he played Cassandra and blind picked it on 1. And then I just played Garen into it, and that kind of ruined the whole repetition I had of him, because he just like completely crumbled down. In game 3, he just ran it down. Like he was not recognizable compared to before. And then he never came back to the SLE, and that's kind of why he's not on my list. But that being said, going over to my number 7. On my number 7, I have a player that you don't have on your list. You mentioned him as an honorable mention. It's Elred. I've played with him for 3 years or 2.5 years together. And I just, maybe it's biased. Of course I'm biased. But I just know what he brings to a team. His shot calling, his drafting, the way he talks about the game, the way he thinks during the game. And he can basically play nearly every champ on support. And I think how important he can be. He reached with Bagmanta the finals, the grand finals. He won Division 2. And then he reached the finals again with a team, with the Wacky Rest team, that I think didn't look like a top 4 team at the beginning of the split, more like a 8th, 9th, 10th seed. And then he came on that team and he brought it to the finals. And I think he's the main reason for that. And that's why he's on my number 7 on the list.
Yeah, Elrat, absolute beast. Used to also duel with this guy quite a bit. I think we won something like 80-85% for duel games, and it was always so easy to play with this guy. Whenever I said something to him, he instantly understood what I was thinking, and it was a blast to play with that guy. And he also, I think, eventually went to like Masters in solo queue, and interestingly, he's one of rare players in SLE history that switched teams and repeat his previous success. He went to finals with Black Manta, also went to finals, almost winning it with Wacky Waves just now. And I'm like, before that, Wacky Waves maybe kind of like a mid-table / upper mid-table team, but after Elrat joined that squad, just started to clicking all around and went all the way to the finals. So I would say a deserved selection, but for me, he just doesn't cut it, because similarly to Flay today, he's like up there. He's like top 2, but he didn't win the title, didn't win the regular season, didn't win the all SLE support honors. Of course, he did win Division 2, but just not enough for me on Elrat. For me, on number 7, this is a little bit cringe to talk about it, because it is myself. I had kind of not like a super short run in SLE, but like short and very successful. Both seasons that I played on Savage, I won the split both times, one time winning the regular season as well. I was all SLE AD carry as well selection in season 2, leading the league in least deaths per game and least deaths total. I think I still hold that record, and on highest KDA as well. So I think I had a pretty bright SLE career. I think if I would have played another season, then it could have been better, could have been worse as well, because that season 4 Gucci squad did not perform as well, but we will never know that. This is where I place myself.
Yeah, really cringe of you. No, I'm kidding. I think something that comes just by being a league admin, you will always have people who think less of you than you deserve. Just because they're like, yeah, you're an admin. Like, of course, people are gonna rate you high, but like, you're not that good. I actually also have you on my list, and I have you on my number 6. That's why I can just talk about it right now, because it's my next number. I think you had a really good split. There are haters who say, yeah, you're just a weak side ADC. You're so replaceable in Gucci. Sovonix and Captain were like solo carrying. Those stuff. You hear it from time to time, but I think it's completely bullshit. I think the role that you played on Gucci was so important, and I think excelled at your role, which was a really niche one. Of course, you weren't the main carry of the team most of the time, but like you died really rarely. I don't think I've seen many lost bot lanes for Gucci. Like even when you were completely weak siding, you didn't lose. You went even, and that's something that is so valuable for a team with such great solo laners. And yeah, that's why I have you on my number 6.
Thank you, Lance. Really appreciate. For me, on number 6, there's the season 3 botlane partner and the season 2 jungler for Gucci, and it is Broxa. I know all of the players in the league, and I've played and faced many of them, and I think Brox is the biggest like raw talent in the game that I've seen. If this guy would take the game just a bit more serious, I think he could have reached like Masters, Grandmasters, or even higher. This guy could like pick up any champion and instantly be good at it. He was just one of those guys, and he was also always so creative and so confident in his gameplay. And it sometimes kind of bit him in the ass when he just got caught somewhere or things like that. But when this guy was on point, it was crazy. Especially in that finals against Black Manta, Brox was smurfing so hard, and a player that kind of took away from Elrad's legacy, because I think Elrad kind of really underperformed in that finals against Brox, but Brox really shined bright there. And I think he's also the only player to win SLE in 2 different roles. So yeah, there goes my number 6.
Yeah, he's definitely a great player. I mean, you've played with him. I think when you play with players together, especially for a longer time, and you have some success, you will always put them a bit higher than others do. I don't think that's a bad thing. I mean, I have Elrad really high on my list as well. I actually have a player. You said some things about Brox being able to pick up every champ and be good at it, and I have a player on my number 5 where I think the same is kind of true, and that's Itchy. You don't have Itchy on your list, and I'm kind of surprised by that. I think it's actually I'm a bit infuriated by it when you mentioned him in your honorable mentions. I think Itchy is really good. I haven't seen him in Split 2. I think he played Split 2, right? I've seen him in Split 3 though.
He didn't play in Split 2. So basically, okay, actually finish and then I'll go on. Okay. He didn't play in Split 2 though.
Okay, he played in Split 3 for Eternal Blizzard on jungle, which was not his main role. He didn't really like playing that role, but I think he carried them a few games that brought them to top 4. But I think where you could see how good he can really be was in Split 4. As a mid laner for Vitigen. I think he was underrated the whole split, even though he was playing on level with nearly every mid laner he played against. People like Devouser, who's not on my list by the way. People like Sovonix, people like Sushi Killer. Like, he was really good, and I think he's a big part of the SLE, legacy-wise as well. And yeah, that's why I have him on my number 5.
Damn. I mean, I had Itchy on like my kind of my bottom of the top 20. I originally had him, but then I just went through it again, and I just was thinking about names like Linus, Sushi Killer, and Kreller that I also had that bottom and that right there around that placement. And yeah, for me, Itchy also an incredible talent, a player that can pick up champions very quickly and kind of learns champions for fun. But again, for me, in Season 3, he was part of that super stacked Eternal Blizzard squad. That squad's like so incredibly talented. They had Fabiolo in top lane and Michi Darko also in top lane. Ichi in jungle, Kim Jensen in mid lane, Shiki Yorin in AD carry, and Loco on support. Tell me that is not one of the most talented squads ever, but they really underperformed, and I'm not blaming Ichi for it, but yeah, just they were not clicking, and that team really underperformed. And after that, he had a good season in Season 4, going all the way to winning the championship, but also that Vitigen squad, quite stacked. Had Ant carrying a lot of games. Ichi did his part absolutely, but just doesn't necessarily stack up for some of the other resumes we have here. I think if this guy, if Ichi would rejoin SLE and would play another full split, he could do a lot of damage, and maybe the conversation would be different after that. But yeah, that's why he was an honorable mention for me, and not making the top 20.
Yeah, but I mean that's the good thing about us both having our own list, and in the end, the total list will be a joint one, because we have completely different perspective on a lot of things.
Yeah, absolutely. And a player that we have different perspective on, like a little bit different, is at my 5th place, and it is current champion Viggies, a player with a bit of a legacy in SLE. I would say I have a couple of players that I have like maximum rating at eye test, which is essentially like how like impressive he is when you watch him from the side playing. And Viggies is just such a star player. Like, he makes flashy plays after flashy plays. And he did it on a different squad as well. He did it with CCG before. And he did it on Gucci Yin here, winning the championship. I would say, yeah, being the playoffs MVP here as well, all SLE support. And this guy is such a beast, such a talented player, especially on his hook champions. And I think if he would continue playing in SLE, then he would win more awards and stuff like that. But I don't think he's returning because I think he has outgrown this level.
Yeah, I think so as well. I think this is basically his final resume. But I think he's a good pick for number 5 for you. I'm happy that you also have him really high on your list. He's top 10 for both of us. Can I continue with my number 4?
Yeah, go ahead, Lance.
On my number 4, I have Kapteinen. You have him a bit lower. I think there's also just I played against him in Split 3. And I think one time on stream I talked about the finals. I think it was a podcast or anything for the SLE. and I basically made a statement, and then I got interrupted, and then we changed the topic, and it kind of looked like I was saying, yeah, I'm better than Kapteinen, or I don't know. My statement basically was, in the finals, in 2 of 3 games, I went ahead like 2,000 gold in the lane against him, and basically had a winning position. And then I got interrupted, but what I wanted to say originally, and what I want to say now is, and somehow he came back and completely clapped my ass in all of those games. Even against my Ilaoi, I think my Ilaoi in the SLE, I lost to Cyberskirks this split, where I blind picked it and got counterpicked by Mordekaiser. And this other time that I lost with Ilaoi, was against Kapteinen, but I counterpicked him against this Camille, and I went ahead in lane, but he just knew, okay, it doesn't matter if I go a bit behind here because I will excel later. And every time I played against him, even when I went ahead, it didn't matter. He came back and he was the deciding factor when winning at the end. And I think this player is so great. When I talked to Sovonix one time, he basically said, a lot of people give me credit, but Kapteinen often pulls so much pressure and is so important, and he makes me excel, but he's the real MVP or something like that. And I think he deserves to be really high on the list, and that's why he's not my number 4.
Yeah, he was on number 9 for me, but I absolutely agree. Like, when I was introducing my ninth place, Anton Captain, and I said that, like, if we talk about that time, like between the game, like 25 minutes to 40 minutes, like that part of side laning, that part of solo laning, he might be unmatched. I think he can challenge like any players in the league in that time of the game. I think with items, Captain and is one of the biggest carries and like scariest 1v1 players we have seen in this league. And I love the respect that you are giving this guy. But for me, at number 4 is the Italian miracle. Himself, JL, a player that has played in SLE for a long time as well. I think since season 2. Since season 2, definitely. I'm not sure if he played in season 1, but With those runtime teams, I think he did the absolute most that he could have done, because those teams were often so disgruntled and like so random, just fighting all the time. And I think with giving the resources that he had there, winning the Division 2 and getting to playoffs as well in Division 1, I think he did a lot. Then once he built his own roster with the Kakapodox, he won the MVP and he was in a top positions with that squad. Of course, it didn't end that well in the playoffs, but I really like that his journey ended quite well with Gucci in here stealing the Baron in the deciding moments in Game 4 in the finals, and being the key factor for his team to win. JL is an absolute superstar, and I've played with him as well. I've heard how much he talks in his Italian accent, and from what I've heard, he also in Kakapodox, he almost individually shot called everything for that squad as well. And this guy is, whenever I talk to any of his teammates, they give him all of the praise possible. Vion also gives JL a lot of praise, even though they're not necessarily friendly anymore. But yeah, this guy is one of the best junglers we have seen in SLE history.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I've played with JL some flex games. I think 2 or 3 times we played Clash together. And what you said, like, he's piloting the whole team, that's true. He's talking so much, but everything he says is important. Like, he's not just, I don't know, talking about random things, but like he's giving information, he's calling people to where they have to be. And I think that guy is really, really good. There's one small thing that basically pulls his legacy a bit down, which is why he's a bit low on my list. I don't know if you remember, but in Split 3 on the runtime roster, he was actually too high ranked. Like, he wasn't eligible to play on that roster. And that's why he was suspended before playoffs, which I think is pretty sad. In hindsight, maybe that was not the right call, but that's what happened. But I'm really happy that he came back in Split 4 and also Split 5. And he basically erased that thing from his legacy, or he made it not important anymore, because he has so much going for him. And I just want to say, I really hope that we have the same top 3 here.
I think we must.
It would be really weird if one of those guys that I have in my top 3 is not on your list. But that those 3 players are both in my top 3 and your top 3 means, like, it just shows how they excel, like, above the rest. I think there's a step between them and the rest. That was it for me, at least. Like, I have total points. I told you that I have like up to 90 total points, 4 categories with 20, and then the last one with 10. And spot 4 and 13 are closer together than spot 4 and 3. And spots 1, 2, and 3 all are really close to the 90 points possible. Do you want to start with your 3rd position?
Yeah, of course. Another ex-botline partner of mine, and 2-time SLE champion. I think the only player to win SLE on 2 different teams. It is a support player, the original hook player, Loco. And an absolute beast to play with. Us, with Gucci, we actually lost both of our first 2 games in SLE, and then we kind of swapped in Loco. And after that, we went on a huge winning streak. Then Loco was famous for his trash. And the key thing playing with Loco that I found interesting, I haven't necessarily seen the same thing happen again on other of his teams, but maybe he kind of used different strengths of his at those teams. But for me, was that I could just lane, I could just do some my perfect CSing, I could just focus on that, and Loco would always feed me kills. He would set up kills from most ridiculous positions. He would land hooks, he would just fish beautiful engages, and that always gave me advantages in the lane, and always gave me some leads, and I could not be happier or more thankful to Loco to play with him. I also was leading the league in kills that season as a weak side AD carry. I was often just dominating lanes because of how much Loco did to catch out opponents, and brilliant guy to play with. Also a pleasure to be in a call with, a fun guy to play with, for me the best support that we have in this SLE, and a support role has been very stacked in SLE. So I think Loco is just an amazing player.
Yeah, before I go over to Loco, he's also my number 3, by the way.
Yeah.
I think the comment that you just made, the SLE support role was always really stacked. I only partially agree. There was always like 3 or 4 supports that were like really good and competing with each other, and then there was always a gap. I think like there were a lot of supports that didn't really come close to what Loco or Wiggies or Elred or something. That maybe Jesse also not. But yeah, Loco I think is a really good good player. I think if you would remove the last 2 months or something, and we would have done this whole thing a bit earlier, then I would have had him a bit lower on the list. But I've played actually a bit with him recently, and I've just noticed how good that guy is, and how great his insight is on the game, how good his laning is, how good his champs are. And yeah, you said it yourself, like he won the SLE twice. He's the only one I think who won it on 2 different teams.
Yep.
And yeah, I think Loco is really good, and there's a reason that he's in our both top 3 on the 3rd position.
Yeah.
Do you want to continue with your number 2?
I think I have a feeling that we will match on number 2 as well. And for me, so like, okay, let's put our cards straight here. It's probably Dutch and Savonix we're talking, right?
Oh, you have Savonix on your list. No, I actually have Denzel on my list on number 1. No, I'm kidding, of course. We have Dutch and Savonix. Yeah.
Yeah, and for me, it's kind of like the debate, you know. In basketball, there's like the debate between the LeBron James and Michael Jordan, right? One of those players had like a more brighter and more like stunning and flawless kind of like a peak, which is like Jordan, right? That for me is Savonix. And Dutch is kind of like the LeBron James, because he just look at Dutch's resume. He has played all 5 seasons. He has won the regular season. He has won SLE, the title winner as well. He has won all SLE jungle, I think. What is it, 3 times now? I think he has won it 3 times in a row by now, right? And
I think, yeah.
He has won he was one MVP. He has he's been the KDA leader. He has the most kills, I think. If we would update the once we update the stats after the playoffs, I think he has the most kills. He has the most games. I think he has one of the highest KDAs. The guy has an incredible win rate, and some players like critique his playstyle and say that when he's not on a winning squad, he's not the player that will carry and things like that. But I think that's a bit biased. I think Dutch is just a proven winner in SLE, and also a winner in other esports leagues. And this guy is an absolute beast, and one of rare players that has never played in good chi and is on that is high on my list. And actually, he's the only player in top 9 in my list that never played on good chi and is on this list. So maybe you can call me a little bit biased.
That's some bias.
Yeah, Dutch is a superstar. Dutch is a superstar.
Yeah, in my top 9, I only have Elred and who are never part of Gucci. Oh no, and also Dutch, of course. On my number 2 is actually also Dutch. I had a big discussion with someone about the MVP of all time. Who's the GOAT of the SLE, right? And before Split 4 began, it was obviously Savonix, right? Like, I don't think there was anyone you could make a case. After Split 4, on the other hand, I think Dutch came really close to Savonix. Savonix had a good split individually, but team-wise it wasn't a good split for Gucci back then. They got eliminated in play, like they got 5th in Division 1 and got eliminated by the 2nd seed of the Division 2. And Dutch, on the other hand, won the SLE. I still thought, okay, Savonix is still a bit higher than Dutch. And then in split 4, I basically thought, okay, if Dutch really shows up here and maybe wins the SLE a second time, you could make a really good case for Dutch being the GOAT of the SLE. But he didn't win the SLE a second time. I think he had some really bad playoff games, like the meme playoff Dutch that was formed in like split 2 and 3, and split 1, I think. That came back in split 5. He had some not good games where he didn't really seem like he's that star player that we are talking about. And that's why he kept being second for me, like in the GOAT debate, right behind Savonix. So yeah, I also have him second on my list. Actually tied with Loco in total points.
Yeah, he was a little bit ahead for me for Loco. Yeah, just the resume and the longevity that Dutch possesses is incredible. Yeah, could be also good absolute contender for first place, but for me, and it sounds like for you as well, first place maybe predictably for some people, maybe not for other people, but yeah, Savonix for me. Also a two-time SLE champion. He was for a long time league leader in kills. He's an MVP as well, two-time All SLE midlaner winner, playoffs MVP as well, two-time playoffs All SLE player, and just an incredibly stacked career in SLE. And I think that I want to mention in season 3, Savonix was so dominant that the fool was starting to play side quests. During the whole regular season, the championship winning regular season of Gucci, Guy picked a different champion every single game he played, and still we won first place. So he was flexing around like how good he can be in some of those games, and incredible teammate as well. Sometimes can be a bit emotional, but at the deciding moments always keeps it together. And an absolute superstar, and for me the greatest still in SLE.
Yeah, I totally agree. I had a troublesome history with Savonix, if you want to call it. I mean, both Savonix and also me are both like personalities that like there are a lot of people who don't like Savonix. There are a lot of people who don't like me because of the way that we are as people. And there were also a lot of conflicts that I had with him, but I have a lot of respect for Savonix. When we played against you in split 3, and he just looked so dominant, like we didn't really know what to do. Like we put pressure on him. Yeah, he dropped a bit behind maybe, but he still was the top player at the end of the game. We ignored him, and he just completely took over. And he just like played a different champion every game, and we were like, what the fuck are we banning? Like, of course, Azir is best champ, but like, you could use 10 bans on him, and he would still find something that you have problems with. And yeah, I think Savonix has a really good case to be the best player of the SLE so far. I think that maybe if he would really try hard in solo queue, he would reach Master, Grandmaster, something like that.
I think he could go Challenger. I think he could go Pro. Like, honestly, playing this guy. But yeah, he's just maybe too emotional in solo queue.
Yeah, I think so as well. I think that guy is really good. His mechanics, his game knowledge and everything. Maybe a bit too good for the SLE right now, but I mean, he already decided he doesn't want to play in it anymore. He's more like a behind the scenes content creator person. And I think he deserves to be at our both number 1. That being said, if you're looking on the screen right now, not you, Mikas, but like the people who are watching, you see a joint list, which is the official top 20 all-time SLE player tier list. Completely, like you can't argue with it. It's 100% correct. And we don't want to hear your own top 20. No, I'm kidding. If you have different opinions, you can always flame and shit post and discuss it, or in general.
No, I think we encourage like everyone make your own top 20 lists. I would love to see every single one of those. So.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think this is actually a great idea to do every time after a split, right? You could always swap it around and then see how it changes. Maybe that's a cool idea for the future. Is there anything else you want to say right now?
No, I'm just happy how great of a season we had this season 5. I really loved the best of fives and the storylines in playoffs all the way to the final. It was definitely the best finals we have ever had. Going 5 games, so exciting, and yeah, building up the legacy for some of the participants. And that being said, thank you, Linus, for joining me, and Merry Christmas to the SLE community.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, everyone, and yeah, thank you very much for having me here.